Video bandwidth and distribution of Talking Scuba is provided by Blip TV, the next generation television network for independent shows. Do your part by donating today by visiting TalkingScuba.com. Hey everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of Talking Scuba. This is episode number 18. I'm Bob Shoemaker, an advanced open water instructor.
And I'm Jim Norton, a DiveCon.
We are a weekly show discussing all different types of diving, from shallow, warm reefs to cold, deep wrecks and everything else in between. In this episode, we're going to talk about some great diving opportunities available in Illinois, as well as a book that Jim is reading called The Watermen. And then we're also going to answer some viewer mail again this week. So let's start out with talking about this article we were reading in the Midwest Dive News. Now, this is available in most of your local dive shops. You can get a subscription to it. It's a great magazine.
And I guess you can get it online too.
Yeah. Actually, we printed this off the internet. Northeast or NEDiveNews.com. Great website. You can download the whole articles and everything right there. It's pretty convenient.
Yep, it's pretty much our area.
Yeah. This article is by Mike Hughes, and it's the 3 top Illinois dives. One of the first wrecks they were talking about is the SS Wisconsin, which is about 6.5 miles off of the Wisconsin side there. A great little wreck. Really, the water temperature there usually stays between 80 and 55, so you could even dive it wet, even especially this time of year. Straits of Mackinac is another shipwreck, or called the Mac as well. That's an old car ferry which they intentionally sank a couple years back, and they're able to dive that. That's an old steel-hulled ship.
How deep is that one?
I think that one, what do we got here? 73 foot of water.
Oh, so it's, babies could do that.
Yeah, very recreational, very easy to dive. And that's the nice part about the southern part of Lake Michigan, is it is pretty shallow. So a lot of new people to wreck diving go down there, and they're able to dive pretty easily.
Oh, that's great. And then if the Great Lakes isn't your cup of tea, they have Hague Quarry. And I've heard a lot of good things about Hague Quarry. Haven't been there myself, but there's shallow depths to about 30 feet. They've got mining equipment and things like that to look at. They also have deeper area, gets to about 85 feet or so, and a lot of catfish, bluegill, all kinds of stuff. I understand they have some classes they'll teach down there for archaeology as well.
Yeah, I think they have a whole area set up where you can practice mapping out and laying out a grid and that stuff for archaeological recovery and that kind of thing.
That's right. It looks pretty interesting. We were trying to get down there this year. We just haven't made it.
Haven't made it this year. Next year.
Yep. And there's one interesting thing down in that area. There's a submarine that a World War I submarine. It was built in 1917, and they actually had to sink it after the war. And what they did is they towed it out to where it's about 300 feet, and they shelled her until she sunk. So it's definitely a tech dive.
Yeah, it's beyond the recreational dive limits, but for all those tech divers out there, it's probably a pretty cool opportunity to dive a freshwater sub, which is extremely rare.
And it's probably in good shape, being that deep. And that vintage, World War I, that's pretty old.
Yeah. Now, the newest shipwreck that they have in the southern Lake Michigan is called the Buccaneer. They just sank that one over the summer, I believe, and that was built in 1925. That's upright, and that's only in 70 foot of water. So easily within the recreational dive limits, all these great places to go. And then for the tech divers, too, there's other great places to dive.
Sounds great.
Now, tell us a little bit about this book you've been reading here, Jim.
Well, actually, I've got a sailboat, and I've got it at a marina. And one of the gentlemen I was talking to wrote a book, and he was an older gentleman and not very braggadocious, but he worked on the Edmunds Fitzgerald.
Wow.
And a couple other ships. He was a chief engineer. And he wrote this book, and I thought, well, I'll read it, and I got intrigued with it. As far as diving goes, it gives you a good insight of what these sailors actually went through on these ships in these storms. And he has some wonderful stories about these ships and how they got themselves in trouble, and how the companies would actually force these guys to go out in bad weather. And if they didn't go, they'd give them a hard time. So it was quite the challenge. They didn't have the weather reporting like we do nowadays. So it's a very interesting, good book.
Now, we've had some pretty rough weather lately. We're just getting into that November season where the winds really pick up. I think you'd went out and checked out some of the high seas out there.
I did. We went out and took some video of the waves crashing on the piers and the arms out there. And well, I was taking some video, and I heard an engine. The waves are about 14 foot high. And somebody tried to go out through the channel with about a 24-foot boat. And he didn't make it.
What, he sank?
No, he didn't sink, but he dang near did. And he turned around and he headed back into the lake. So it was pretty interesting.
And that spot where I think you were at Muskegon, correct?
That's right, right at the pier.
That's right where we have that reminder right there of the rough seas with that shipwreck that's laying right there.
The cord.
Yep.
She sunk, and that's right where he turned.
So he was almost...
so he almost had a new wreck to watch.
Yeah, almost joined that shipwreck there. Now, before we get on to our viewer mail, I do want to mention our sponsor, one of our sponsors, Neutral Dive Gear. That's the Neutral Dive Gear, the N hat that we're wearing all the time. We've got a lot of T-shirts and stuff and sweatshirts from them. But they also have a boat coat now. And this boat coat, it extends down about... around your knee or so. So when you get out of the water, you can quick throw that on. You stay nice and toasty while you're waiting for your next dive. So go ahead, go to Neutral Dive Gear's website, and if you use the coupon code Talking Scuba, you can get a discount when you're checking out.
Sounds great.
So let's answer some mail. You got a question over there?
Yes, I do. Jordan from Dallas, Texas asks, what is your preferred tank type, steel or aluminum? How about you, Bob? What do you think?
Especially since we're in freshwater, I love the steel tanks. We don't have to worry about anything with those at all. Not that they corrode too much in the modern tanks don't corrode too much in the saltwater, but the older ones tend to. So we don't have to worry about that. But in freshwater, we're able to get these steel tanks that are high volume, and they're also extremely negatively buoyant. So what that means is we can take weight off our weight belt. And the difference in actual weight, surface weight from aluminum 80 to, let's say, a steel 80 is hardly noticeable. But you're negatively buoyant as opposed to positively buoyant. And that's just the nature of the beast, so to speak, with the steels and aluminums.
The only thing I'd add to that is the steel's really nice. And especially for us, because we've got dry suits and weight becomes an issue because we have so much air in our suit. But keep in mind, if you're just starting out, you don't have a lot of money, them steel tanks are expensive.
They are very, very expensive.
And if you don't have the money, hey, rather than not diving, buy the aluminum ones.
Yep.
And I would recommend, Jordan, look around for a used tank because used aluminum is very easy to find.
Now you got to be careful though, because when you are buying used aluminum tanks, there was a time when aluminum tanks were built with a poor alloy, which is over the course of time is now failing, and we're having some really, really dangerous incidents when they're filling up the tanks and that kind of thing, where the tanks are actually exploding. So we got to be really, really careful at what you're buying. I would not buy an aluminum tank made before 1980.
There you go.
Doesn't matter.
Good point.
Steel tank, I've got steel tanks that were made in the 50s. And they're still workable, and they pass their hydro and their visual every year easily. So make sure you watch out what you're buying. Make sure you get it inspected every year as well for the VIPs and also for the hydro.
There you go. Tanks, I'd say steel is for the long run. Aluminum if you need to get in the water.
And like I said, they both do affect your buoyancy differently.
Yes.
Aluminum tanks, they do have neutral 80s where they're neutrally buoyant as opposed to positively buoyant. Most tanks, a standard aluminum, is going to become positively buoyant after it gets below about 1,200 pounds or so. So you got to compensate for that. When you're figuring out your weight, make sure that you're doing it with an empty tank as opposed to a full tank. Not completely empty, obviously, but you're going in to figure out your weights with about 1,000, 1,200 pounds in your tank, so that you can actually find what you're going to need at the end of the dive. Because if you're if you're on your way back up
Yeah,
and you're
trying to do a
forcing,
safety
trying to
stop.
keep yourself down, it's no fun at all.
Yep.
Okay, so I got another question here. This is from Michael Jones, and he writes, I am a new viewer to Talking Scuba. Welcome, Michael. And I am also new to scuba. What do I need to do to wear my glasses? Well,
We
We're
both
both-
have glasses.
yeah, we're both glasses wearers, so what do you do?
Well, I have a set of prescription lenses bonded to the inside of my mask. Now, before that, I just used the stick-ons. And they're available at most dive shops, or you can get them from Revco or some other, local drugstore. And those work good for a while. And it depends on if you have astigmatism or if it's just nearsightedness.
And you have trouble reading your gauges mostly, isn't that what
Right,
you have
that's all
trouble
I
with?
need them for, is to read the gauges and
that's
the
where the
bifocal
stick-on
part.
ones are.
That's because I'm getting a little older.
Yeah, your arms got too short.
Yeah.
Well, the with the stick-on ones, those are a good option, like you say, for if you need to see your gauges or something like that. Now, I can't see far away, so I've never actually gotten lenses put into mine because most of the diving I do is in moderately to limited visibility, and so I'm not that worried about it. Between 20 and 30 feet, I can see pretty well, so I never worried about it. This year, however, we were going to go to Bonaire, and I was like, I better get some contacts or something, because I'd really like to see, if we're going to have days of 100 plus foot visibility, I want to see that whole distance. So I went out and I got contacts, and I hated those stupid things. Putting them in, I'm crying like a little girl, but I finally got them to work. I wear them on anytime I go diving, I put them in. I force myself to put them in, and I really like that. If that's not an option for you, like Jim said, you can get the lenses. I would always go with the ones that they actually get your specific prescription and they adhere them to your scuba mask. Make sure that you're comfortable with that scuba mask. That's the one you want to use for a long time, because it's just like buying a pair of glasses. It's very, very expensive. So you want to make sure that it's a mask that you're extremely comfortable with.
Yep. Use your favorite mask.
They do have other masks, which they have interchangeable lenses in. And at the dive shop we used to work for, they had those at one time, but they always leak for some reason. So they never really got a great seal on them, so we never liked them all that much. And those were just getting close to your prescription. They weren't an exact cut of your prescription.
Okay.
So anyways, thank you, Michael, for that question. And that brings us to the end of the show. But I want to remind you guys to follow us on Twitter and Facebook, but also visit our website, please, talking-scuba.com. You can see all the show notes and links to the stuff that we talked about on the show today. And if you want to email us questions like Jordan and Michael did for this week, do that at fans@talkingscuba.com. And we will see you next week. Wait, am I supposed to talk about something else, aren't I? I always get going too fast. Give us money. That's what Johnny wants us to say.
Give us money.
Well, for a $5 donation, we are going to send you 3 of these beautiful Talking Scuba stickers. And they're vinyl, printed on vinyl. They're very nice stickers.
Hey, they go great on tanks, aluminum or steel.
Aluminum or steel tanks. They look good on beer bottles, whatever you got laying around. So $5, you get 3 of those. But any donation you want to send to keep us on the air and keep going, we greatly appreciate it. I think that's it, right, Jim?
That's it
All right.
for this one.
Jim, to the next dive.
To the next dive.
Cheers.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.